Hello, this is another do-it-yourself video. Today I'm going to talk to you about changing the automatic transmission fluid and filter and flushing the torque converter and the radiator on my 2007 Pontiac G5. The filter kit I bought was made by Pro King, and I don't know if you can see it, I'll read it out to you. The model number is FK-292. The filter and gasket, this is the original. The job's already done, by the way, so I'm not going to show you talking all the way through doing the job. There are lots of videos that do that. But I'm going to tell you some interesting things that I learned along the way. This is the original gasket. It looks like a high-quality gasket. It feels like there's some serious metal inside of it, and then it's got a rubber coating on the outside with 4 ribs of metal along the top and along the bottom. So anyway, you can tell this was probably an expensive gasket, the original factory one. When I put the new one on that came in the kit, it wasn't nearly this industrial. It didn't have any metal inside of it. I don't know, doesn't look anywhere near the quality of this one, but it is it's a real kit, so, and it's not leaking, so I guess that's probably good enough. One of the troubles that I had when I was starting this job, I always do a little research first. I couldn't find where the drain plug was, and there is no drain plug on these, which I think is crazy that there isn't a drain plug, because it always means you're guaranteed to have a mess. But anyway, no drain plug, and the fill plug is actually in a difficult to find spot. Here's the diagram showing where the fill plug is, and it is right underneath. So here's the computer that had this little plastic cover. There's there's the coolant jug. There's the terminal if you want to boost the battery. The battery's in the trunk in this car, but there's the booster terminal. And then this cover right here, I took that off, and underneath there's a computer, or probably the ABS module or something. I'm guessing that's what it is. And then there's the oil fill location for the engine, and you can see my funnel. Now, this funnel has a long tube that's about 14 inches long, and it goes down right on the top of the transmission. And the cap looks like this. It's black, it unscrews. So, take the cap out, put your funnel in there, and you need don't dare try this unless you have a funnel with a long neck, like a 14-inch neck, or you just end up wasting your fluid. The fluid I bought was $6 a liter, and it was Dextron 6 full synthetic. This car does take Dextron 6. I don't necessarily worry too much about it being full synthetic, but that's what they happen to have, so no problem there. This is the filter, the old filter that came out of the car. I'm always interested in checking transmission filters just to see the health of the transmission. Don't really do this probably more than once during the ownership of a car, but this car has 167,000 kilometers on it, and I think that's silly in the manuals when they say, oh, unless it's in rough service, you never change the transmission fluid and filter. So anyway, 160,000 is my limit. So I broke the filter case and looked inside the little catch fibers here. This is the actual filter. I found a few little chunks of stuff in one corner of it. You can see them there. Nothing too serious. As long as you don't have any big chunks and as long as you don't have a lot of them. Little teeny tiny shavings. Well, in the first 10 seconds the transmission was driving, it probably picked these up, and I'm guessing that there hasn't been really much more collect there over the years. Okay, so a couple of things. I didn't know where so there's no dipstick for the transmission in this car, which is frustrating for people who like to check fluids. So there's no dipstick, there's no drain plug, but there's a fill plug, and then there's a level check plug. So I told you where the fill plug is. You take the pan off to actually drain the fluid, but I'm on the passenger side of the car right now, and I got it jacked up, and here is, there we go. Can you see that? Right up in the center. Here. See if I can point to it. There, right there, there's the transmission pan, and right there is the fill cap, it's the level plug. It's a 7/16 head on it. You pull it out, and if you pull it out while the vehicle is not running, while the engine is not running, you're going to have oil pour out of there like crazy. So start the engine to check the fluid. Start the engine, let it warm up, pull that plug out, and if fluid starts to just barely dribble out of it, then it's full. If no fluid runs out of it, then you add some, and that's the way you check the level of it. So I pulled the pan off. You can see a bunch of sawdust. Have a whole pile of kitty litter or sawdust with you before you start this job, because you're going to need it. And I actually had 2 of those 10-liter catch pans. They actually, they were pretty good. I kind of linked them both together and was able to put them side by side and catch most of it, but I still made a bit of a mess. So you want to have some good pans, have some, absorbent material. Take the pan down, take the filter off, and then when you take the filter off, where it mates to the transmission, there's actually a little rubber seal there, and this car it's rubber on the inside, but the outside of that seal is actually metal. So I use a screwdriver and gently pried it out, and then I use a hammer and tap the new one in, again, very gently, and then jam the filter up into place. You'll feel it snap. Then clean the gasket mating surfaces. The other thing I had too was somebody before I owned the car had jacked this up and tried to use the transmission pan as the jacking point, and it dented in the pan. Fortunately, the pan on this car is completely flat. You see it right there. There we go. It's completely flat. And so what I did was I took the pan off, cleaned it, and set it just on the concrete floor, and then used a hammer and pounded the dents out of it. I wasn't too concerned about having it, perfect, but it's a lot better now than it was. So yeah, put the pan back on with the new gasket, tighten everything up. You do not need to crank on these pan bolts too hard. I don't know the torque value, but you definitely don't want to tighten them up too much. One, you might break a bolt off or strip the transmission bolt hole, so you don't want to do that. Second thing is, if you over-torque the bolts and over-torque the pan, it distorts the gasket and you'll probably cause a leak, so don't do that. Okay, well, I'm thinking that's pretty much all I really want to tell you about this one. The manual says it takes about 7 liters. Oh, there's one more thing I want to tell you. The manual says it takes about 7 liters if you do the pan and filter change, like the pan drop and the filter change. I actually like to flush the torque converter too, and these cars are never set up for that, to be done easily. So what I did, I don't know, you're probably just going to have to trust me here and imagine what I'm trying to tell you. There we go. There we go. Is that it? Oh, good dog, listen. Okay, how's that looking? How's that looking right in there? Okay, this is the bottom of the radiator, and I wanted to pop off the radiator line, the coolant line that comes from the transmission up to the radiator, and I took the bottom line off. And what happens when you take the bottom line off, that's the return line to the transmission. And when I say the bottom line, I mean the one that's lowest in the radiator. I don't know if it's lowest or highest at the transmission. Anyway, I popped it off, and to get it off, you need to use, there's a black, jeez, I'm not set up for here. Anyway, anybody that knows my videos knows I'm not a videographer. There's a black plastic cap or cover that goes over the end of that line where it meets the radiator. You need to take a screwdriver and gently pry that away from the radiator, and then once you do that, it'll expose a little spring clip. That spring clip is like a C shape, and you're gonna have to pry that out of there. Don't wreck it; it's a stainless clip. And then once you do that, I was trying to pull the line out and it wouldn't come out, and I thought it was stuck in the radiator, but it wasn't. In fact, about 6 inches back, you can't see anything, but about 6 inches back, the 2 lines that go to the radiator clipped together, and it was the other line that was holding this line in. So as soon as I unclipped the 2 lines, that bottom line came right out of the radiator. And then I had my wife start the car and just let it run, and of course it poured oil all through the radiator. But of course before it got to the radiator, it had to flush the torque converter too. So anyway, the fluid that was coming out of the radiator was dark, like the dirty color, and so I'd wait until she pumped a liter out, and then I'd yell to her, shut the car off, and then I'd dump a liter back in the top of the transmission, a new liter, and then I repeated that process 3 or 4 times, and then I also had her go through the park reverse, neutral drive, 2-1, and keep it in each gear for about 5 seconds to kind of flush out the valve body and maybe flush out different parts of the transmission. The wheels, it's up off the ground, so the wheels were spinning. And after flushing a total of probably about 5 or 6 liters, I could tell that the color of the fluid coming out of the radiator was cleaner. I think it's impossible to get it completely clean this way unless you're willing to run 100 liters through. So after 4 or 5 liters, I stopped and figured I got enough of the old fluid out, put that hose back on, and you know, top the vehicle up as per how I described before. Start the engine, leave it in neutral, pull that check plug out, and if oil runs out, wait till it stops running out, put the plug back in. If no oil runs out, add some more. Okay, there you go. There's your talk on how to change transmission on a transmission fluid and filter and flush torque converter on a 2007 Pontiac G5.